A few years ago, I was at the pub with some friends, and this guy came up to us and he showed us a magic trick. Basically, he just took a coin, showed it to us, and then started to rub it on the table like this. After he rubbed it on the table for a few seconds, he then attempted to rub the coin into his left arm. He repeated this little ritual 3 or 4 times. And eventually, just as we thought that the trick wasn't going to work, he tried it one last time and the coin vanished. Now, as we were wondering where it would be, he picked up the drink of one of my friends, and there, under the pint glass, was the coin. Now, this is a basic magic trick, but it shows the 3 parts that are connected to an illusion. The first part is called the pledge. And the pledge is where an object is presented to the audience. The second part is the turn, and the turn is the disappearance of the object. And then the third part of the trick, the grand finale, is the prestige. And the prestige is when the object returns. So in this basic trick, he takes the coin in his right hand and then you rub it with both hands on the table. And then, as you know, you attempt to rub the coin into the left arm. Now, once I've done this ritual 2 or 3 times, and I've hopefully got it lodged in your brain, I take the coin in my left hand instead of my right, and I move it to the back of my neck, like that. And so the coin that is under the beer glass is not the same coin that was made to disappear. That was put there earlier when no one was watching. Now, this can help us understand how most illusions occur. Whenever a magician makes a dove disappear, the dove that returns is likely not the same dove. The first dove is probably dead. Now, there's a number of ways that magic is connected to the area of religion. For example, magicians often speak in a very fast and funny way to try to lull you into a type of hypnotic state so that they can do their sleight of hand. And this is called the patter. And the patter is a term that probably comes from paternoster, which is the name of the repetition of the Lord's Prayer that nuns and monks would do in their cloisters. But the second connection is much more interesting. And this was first seen by the Archbishop of Canterbury in the late 1600s, a guy called John Tillotson. Because Tillotson noticed that magicians would often use a phrase at the climax of the trick, the phrase being Hocus Pocus. And far from being nonsensical, Tillotson worked out that it was probably derived from the term hoc est corpus, which is what the priest would say during the Eucharist, when the bread and the wine would become the body and blood. And so Tillotson worked out that some of these magicians were having a bit of a dig at the priests, saying that this supposedly mystical act was really a cheap magic trick. Now, Tillotson kind of agreed. He felt that the priests were wrong in thinking that it was some sort of magical event. Rather, communion was an act of remembrance. But where Tillotson and the priest disagreed, they all agreed on one thing, that this was not a magic trick. But what I want to do in the next 5 videos is explore the possibility that actually the magicians are right, that Christianity is a type of magic trick, that it's nothing to do with theism or atheism, it's nothing to do with the sacred or the secular. It has nothing to do with what you believe about the world, what you believe about the source of the universe, or what you believe about yourself. And it's nothing to do with some set of practices. But Christianity is inviting us into a life of faith. And faith describes participation in a magic trick. Over these videos, I want to argue that there is an object in our lives, a pledge that we pledge our allegiance to. and that this pledge is something that brings suffering, anxiety, and sadness into our lives. It is the cause of so much human misery. And I'm going to argue that we need to make this pledge disappear, the turn, only to return in a liberating way as the prestige. And so I invite you to join me as we explore this world historical, unimaginable, hopefully life-transforming magic trick together.